Good afternoon, distinguished guests. Welcome back to our afternoon session. We're going to start with Thailand Future Fund by Khun Polchak Nimwatana, Senior Expert in State Securities, State Enterprise Policy Office, Ministry of Finance. Khun Polchak has worked for a State Enterprise Policy Office since 2004. He has been Assisting Director General to implement, accelerate, and monitor key projects at State Enterprise Policy. And the moderator for the session is Dr. Pipat Luengnaruemitchai. And now may I invite Khun Polchak and Dr. Pipat on the stage, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the first session this afternoon. Hope you all had a good lunch. I think we have an interesting session in this afternoon. The first one, we were talking about the Thailand Future Fund, and I think it's a good opportunity that we have Khun Polchak from State Enterprise Policy Office to discuss with us about this fund and also the PPP as well as the SO reforms that is happening at the moment. So, Khun Polchak, can you tell us a little bit about SEPO, the State-Owned Enterprise Policy Office? What's the responsibility and why is it involved in this fund in particular?
Okay, thank you, Khun Pipat. On behalf of State Enterprise Policy Office, we would like to thank Stock Exchange of Thailand, Phatra, Securities, and Bank of America Merrill Lynch to invite us to share our work. The background of the State-Owned Enterprise Policy Office is we are one of the unit in the Ministry of Finance as a Revenue Department. Our work covers 3 areas. The first one is State Enterprise. We act as the owner or the shareholder of the State-Owned Enterprise on behalf of Ministry of Finance. The second one is the state security, which is the securities that we own and it's not exceed the limit that it become the SOE, 50% of the shares. The last one is the public-private partnership. And right now we are working with the alternative financing for the infrastructure investment of for Thailand. We develop PPP. That's one alternative, and TFF, or actually the infrastructure fund, is the other one.
Okay, thank you. So let's get into this fund a little bit, the Thailand Future Fund. I think many investors have heard about this fund, but may not know about the details and what's it about. What can tell us about the structure of the fund and the motivation why the Ministry of Finance are launching this fund in particular, and what's some background information about this fund?
Okay, the motivation is everybody knows that Asia need lots of infrastructure investment. According to ADB study, in the next 15 years in Asia, we need $26 trillion for infrastructure investment to maintain our economic growth. For Thailand, so this is the Thailand position right now. Based on the World Economic Forum, our competitiveness ranking is 34th from 130 something. The room to improve is the infrastructure quality improvement. You can see that infrastructure quality of Thailand compared to other countries is quite low to other countries. So which means we need a lot of investment in infrastructure. And only the government here, this is the one. Another one is the money that the last couple of years, the government put lots of money, almost like $1 trillion a year to public infrastructure, but it's still not enough. And we probably need another source of fund. And PPP is one source, and TFF is another source of fund. Yeah, that's the motivation. But for the TFF itself, here. The idea of using the TFF is, right now we have lots of infrastructure assets that generate massive income yearly. And if we wait to accumulate those cash flow, it probably take us like 10 years or 20 years enough to get them the money to put into the new infrastructure projects. What we try to do is we use the infrastructure fund and then securitize the cash flow and put the cash flow into the new project and waiting for the new project to generate the cash again, and then we put it back into the fund. That's the way the idea of the infrastructure fund.
So the idea is to put the brownfield investment projects into the fund to raise the cash so that we can reinvest those proceeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the structure of the TFF, lots of people asking like why we need to do the sole central fund rather than back here. Actually, we have the infrastructure fund of the SOE, the EGAT, IF already. But why the government need to do the new fund, that Thailand Future Fund, to combine all the assets? The government thinks that not every SOE or government agency which has the project that has a good cash flow can raise the fund through the IFF itself, because it's quite costly and probably the fund size is too small, and it will be affect the valuation of the fund proceed that we that get from the infrastructure financing through the infrastructure fund. So the government thinks that, okay, we're gonna have the central vehicle if state agency or state-owned enterprise want to raise the fund by securitize their cash flow, they can use the infrastructure fund instead of having their own infrastructure fund.
So is there any particular criteria in terms of what kind of asset that can be put into this kind of fund?
No, actually, thanks Phatra Securities, they are helping us as well to structure the fund. The intention of the fund, it doesn't limit only the brownfield project. Actually, the greenfield project with the fair risk exposure that the SEC allow to securitize the future cash flow, because probably it's too expensive for the greenfield project, but the TFF doesn't have a limit on either brownfield or greenfield. Yeah.
As long as it's the SOE assets.
Yeah, as long as it's SOE asset or government agency assets, such as DOH, Department of Highway. They have like motorway, number 7 and number 9 that can raise fund through the infrastructure fund as well. Okay, this is the structure. Because of the cabinet has approved the first 2 pilot projects, which is Chalong Lat is the one from Ramintra to Ekamai. That's the first one. And the second one is Buraphavithi. It's from Bang Na to Chonburi. The first 2 projects will be securitize the cash flow through to the Thailand Future Fund. The money, the cash flow will come from the top line, toll revenue. 45% of toll revenue of those projects.
Gross revenue before expenses.
For 30 years. And the investor that the cabinet approved is retail and domestic and foreign institution investor. So we welcome everyone to participate in the Thailand Future Fund. MOF, we still hold like the major share of the Thailand Future Fund to make sure that we still a sponsor and the government still sponsor the Thailand Future Fund. Yes.
Is that the percentage of the stake that the MOF would
For the
be?
MOF? We deciding because of if the MOF invests too much, it's going to take the room from other investors as well. And we want lots of retail investors to participate in because we know that we have lots of liquidity in the financial market right now. Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at the structure of the fund, which I think at the first stage would be consisting of these two main assets, right? Is there any chance that more assets would be added into the future, and or what would be the prospect of growth in the revenue of this fund?
Right now, we are talking with the Department of Highway. That what I told you before. We have two operating assets, which is the motorway number 7 and number 9. Number 7 is the one go to Pattaya. Right, the number 9 is the outer ring, one part of the outer ring expressway of Bangkok. But since the Department of Highway is the government agency, the money that they get from the projects need to go through the budgeting system. But we try to figure it out, like how to mobilize this cash flow to the fund instead of get through the budgetary system. And yeah, this is like upcoming prospect. But in the future, it doesn't have a limit whether it's going to be only transportation. It probably can go with the telecom asset or power asset.
And what are the mechanisms that would protect the investor interest? Because at the beginning, I think this would take the revenue from the top line of the projects, right? What would be the mechanism that would make sure that the projects are run efficiently, or the revenue generation power of the project wouldn't deteriorate in the future?
Okay. The first one would be the MOF will still holding a significant portion of it. So if the investor heard, we heard as well. Okay. That's the first one.
That's align the interest.
Yeah, we align the interest. The second one is when we securitize the toll revenue, as you said. It going through the revenue transfer agreement, the RTA, this one. The RTA. The RTA will indicate that indicate the way the EXAT, the Expressway Authority of Thailand, EXAT, put separate or ring fence the money to the fund. Like every day they need to transfer the fund, to transfer the top line, the total revenue to the escrow account to the fund. And the RTA will indicate that the EXAT need to maintain the expressway as usual, and make sure that the expressway doesn't collapse during the 30 years. And for other things, it should be like very minimal because of we try to minimize the risks of the investor, so we choose to have the top line of the revenue. So anything that EXAT doesn't impact much to the fund, but it's through the RTA. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be protected. And I guess the counter argument would be, wouldn't it be cheaper if the government just borrow the money at the lower cost and then finance all these projects?
Yes, it's cheaper, but The government financing for infrastructure has like 6 ways. That's what we have right now. Like the first one is budget, government budget. This one, it has a limitation. It's only 20% of the annual budget of the government, which is around like 500 billion annually. So we already use it, if you can see here. So it's in the maximum size already. The other one is state enterprise retained earnings. What I said, you need the time to collect the money to invest there. But some state enterprise has like lots of income, such as AOT, right? So they can invest the second the second phase of the Suvarnabhumi itself by not using any borrowing. The first one is borrowing of the government and the SOE or bond. The public debt level is limited as we have the fiscal sustainability framework that the debt, government debt should not be greater than 60% of the GDP. The GDP is 14 trillion, right? So 60% is, it's not that much, but right now it's 41, 42%. So we have 18% left. So it's 2.6 trillion. But the cheap fund of the government, we prefer to use the cheap fund to the non-commercially viable asset, such as public health or education. So that's what we can like give the money to every sector equally.
Public goods.
Yes. So transportation should find their way to do like other financing. The other one is the public offering, which we have done before, but still we need like lots of understanding from the public and people to understand why we do the public offering. PPP is the other one. We did a lot of PPP right now, but still the same. And this is like kind of a new challenge for us as well. How we're going to use the PPP to the social infrastructure instead of economic infrastructure. Limitation is still there. Infrastructure fund is the last one. So to answer your question, is borrowing and government budget or conventional financing is kind of limited right now. If we want to grow as much as we want or we did before, we need to go faster.
And from your experience, like you probably have seen the example of successful infrastructure funds in like other countries. What can you tell us? What can you tell us about like the success story about these funds in other countries? Is it a good source of revenue generation?
I mean, infrastructure fund in other countries. In other countries, the infrastructure fund is kind of different from infrastructure fund in Thailand. Infrastructure fund in other countries, they manage it like very actively, like MKIF. They are the one who own the project itself, and then find someone to run the project for them, and then they can sell the project to to exit from those projects and then get like, this is kind of different because of in Thailand, infrastructure project or infrastructure asset cannot be sold. I mean, fundamental asset cannot be sold. And the Thailand constitution said that the government need to own or at least holding more than 51% of the ownership of the infrastructure asset. I mean like fundamental infrastructure asset. So infrastructure fund in Thailand is just only financing vehicle more than the fund that develop the project itself. So it needs someone to develop the project for the fund. The fund is just the one who monetize the money from the public and then use it for the kind of the fund.
Right. Yeah. And so this is more like the to sell the
Yes.
future revenue.
Infrastructure fund in terms of on this government, it's just only like fundraising. The SOE or the government agency is still the one who be running the project. It's different from the PPP. Why, like the private sector will come and then run the project itself and then make the profit from the project.
And coming back to this fund again, what would the proceed of this capital raising in the first stage would be used for?
The proceed will be used for the two projects. Actually, I cannot remember the name of it. Okay, this two is easier. The first one is Rama 3, Dao Khanong, and Western Outer Ring. So it's the one who connect to the way you get into the southern part of Thailand from Bangkok. That's the first one. This one, the cabinet approved the project already, and with the approval, the source of fund is from the TFF. And the second one is the third stage of expressway we call N2. This is the one that you have like the kind of a concrete stick on the road in front of the Kasetsart Sat University, right? That's the one.
A bunch of poles.
But it's coming. It's coming. It was a legal dispute before, but it's okay right now.
So this will be the projects that this money would be funded.
Yeah.
Okay. And look. If we look into the fund structure, I mean the fund details. What are the development? What are the latest development? Where we are right now, and when we can expect the fund to be launched?
They have lots of news about like when the fund will come. But I'm not gonna say that what exactly when you're gonna see like the fund. But the principle is right now the Ministry of Finance and SEPO working with the EXAT and the RTA is already complete. I mean like the draft RTA is already agreed with from the government and EXAT and the TFF itself. Actually TFF is already set up by the Ministry of Finance, 100% owned by and the fund and the EXAT already agree with the draft of RTA, but it needs to go through some process of government contract. Right now, we're working with the drafting of the OC and prospectus, and we think that everything should be ready. Everything should be ready very soon. I mean, ready for EXAT. But the fundraising, when the fundraising will be, it depends on the time that EXAT needs to dispense the money to finance these two projects. I mean, the first project, because the second one will come later, and you will rest. Yeah. So we get everything in place, and when EXAT said that they need the money, we're gonna launch that like immediately.
And anything else you want to talk about this fund, in, like the quality of the assets that is going to be put into the fund, or anything else?
The two assets of the fund will be actually its operating asset, and it generates lots of return. Or cash flow, not return, the cash flow. And it runs like 80 or 90% of its capacity already. The length of the first one is 28.2 kilometers. The upside and the second one is 55 kilometers. The first one will be the open system. What does it mean? It collect the toll in the booth, and then you don't need to pay anything after you pay the toll, like normal one in Bangkok. The other one is Burapawiti, is charged per kilometers. So you collect the card rate, and you give it back when you exit the toll road, and then they calculate the.
Or use the Easy Pass.
Oh,
or the
use the
M-Pass.
Easy Pass, yeah. If you use Easy Pass, it's another one.
Or M-Pass. Oh, no, not M-Pass.
M-Pass.
Easy Pass.
No, actually, you can use interchangeably right now. Right? 55 kilometers, and they generate like a very, very stable cash flow. So we think that the investor should be safe and should give like, I don't know, for us, you should give like the good proceed for us as well. And yeah, it's 30 years, so it's still new for the toll road. What should I say? Like the toll road, like lifespan, right? Actually, it's 75 years. I mean, in terms of accounting standard, but it's still new in terms of the toll road, and the maintenance should not be much. And Exat will they promise in the RTA already that they're gonna do the maintenance like very well in this too. That's what we expect. The upside will be, you will see like lots of projects will be coming for the Exat. So which means they're gonna have like other traffic come from the other part of the expressway that they're responsible to, and Exat agree to if the traffic come from other projects, if they use the fare will be shared to the fund as well.
I see. And is that the definite life of the revenue that this fund would be getting, or
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
It would be 30 years. Okay. All right. I guess that's the details about the fund. Is there anything else you wanted to share about this, or otherwise you?
I don't know, because of Phatra will look at me and like, this is like most of the thing that I can talk about the fund right now. Yeah, that should be it for the infrastructure fund. And yeah, infrastructure fund. Another good thing of the infrastructure fund is when we did the privatization or the public offering of the SOE in the past, it proved that we get a lot of efficiency. We can squeeze lots of efficiency from we have other investors to look at the SOE operation. And this is like another intention to use the infrastructure fund as well, because of we get like the investor to look closely and with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that the infrastructure finance asset work properly. And
it's well maintained and
Yeah.
well run and keep up the
Exactly.
revenue generation of the assets.
That should be it from the
Okay.
infrastructure fund.
Okay, let's move on to the second part of the discussion, which is PPP. Right? I think you already mentioned about the public-private partnership.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the development in this area? What is SEPO is working on? I think this is the area where the government is trying to encourage more and more investment coming from the private partnership.
For the PPP, actually right now we have the PPP committee meetings that our DG need to attend. So he sent his apologies to you all. He is looking forward to be in this session, but yeah, he's the secretary of the committee, so he need to be there. The PPP in Thailand, some people may know that we have the new PPP Act in 2013. And the 2013 PPP Act required the government to have the PPP strategic plan. And the plan will tell you the direction of the government, like which area or which sector or which subsector that the government would like the private sector to participate and then operate those infrastructure projects of the government. And the PPP committee set the PPP strategic plan for 2015 to 2019 into two groups. The first one is the required to do a PPP. So we have 6 subsectors that the government agency or the SOE must do their projects by using PPP only. PPP is the first choice of financing. And the second one is the good to have. 14 subsector. 16 is today. Today they have they're revising the PPP strategic plan.
Oops.
Right now. So oops. You heard the news after this meeting, and
that's a non-public information. We shouldn't use that.
Yeah, we're gonna have 14. Right now we have 14 of subsector, which is you can see that we have the healthcare, education, and medical supply, and waste management, and kind of the things that we want the private sector to help us out to implement the project. Right now we have 66 projects that we're gonna do within the 5 years. And most of the project is still in the transportation sector. This is selling product part. PPP Fast Track. You have heard of PPP Fast Track for the last 2 years, I think. It's the initiation is from the government. Said that people tell us why and how why PPP project is so slow, and it takes more than 5 years.
More than 5 years.
More than 5
Typically.
years. 25 months, it's just only when you start bidding. And it probably takes another 1 or 2 years to select the private sector. And probably takes another half year to get the contract approval from the Attorney General. And then going to be 5 years for the project. So we going back and then learn what happened in Thailand or the Thai government agency, why it takes forever to get the PPP project go into the market. So this is 25 months is from the starting point to the get into the market. We reduced it to 9 months. How? So the first one is we know that we figured out that when you do a project preparation before getting approval from the cabinet, it going around in more than 5 or 10 tables, 5 to 10 tables for each project, because 5 to 10 tables doesn't go and then do not go and then talk together what they want it to be. So that's the most important one. What we do is make sure that those 5 tables or 10 tables working together at the first place, but it took us took a lot of like resources for the government as well, and the project. And the other thing is like doing anything like parallelly, like the other step that wasting time is when you drafting the RFP or the bidding package, that you need to wait until the cabinet approval to get the cabinet approval first, and then drafting the bidding package, which actually, if the project is so certain that you're going to give it to private sector, you can draft it from the first, in the beginning of the day. And yeah, we have like 5 projects last year to be a pilot project under the PP fast track. And the pink one and yellow one, it's already, contract is already signed. And the blue line extension contract signed already. And for the 2 motorway, Bang Pe In Korat and Bang Yai Kanchanaburi, cabinet approved the project in principle. And we think that within this year, it should go into the market to private sector to do the bidding. Yeah, last month. And this is the additional project that we think it will go to the under PV fast track. It is under PV fast track, but the detail, they are working on it right now. And for the PPP, we have another challenge. So we proved that actually PPP is not that slow anymore. But the new challenge for the PPP is how the government can put the PPP project into the market, and those projects is not financially viable.
Yeah, because we see lots of new projects may not be financially viable. So the government has to balance between the fiscal risk on the one hand and reasonable return for the private sector on the other, right? And how do you balance those?
In the past, what we did is like we call it co-investment, such as the MRT project. You will see that the government tend to invest into the civil work itself, and then give the system, M&E system and rolling stock to the private sector, so reduce the capital that the private sector will put the money in. But for the yellow and pink line, we try to change the way we think. We give the subsidy instead. So we ask the private sector to do the civil work for us as well. So we will not have a problem like when the civil work is already done and the system hasn't come.
Are you talking about any particular line?
No. But that's the main problem, because we are not comfortable at all to give the money to the private sector directly. So this is the way we change the way we think. But the next step would be, so the first one is co-investment. The second one that we use a lot of effort to get the government agency to allow us to give the subsidy. That's the present one that we have. Going to the next step is another challenge, because of some project. Even though we give the money to the private sector, probably they will not come because of the commercial risk is too high for them, like the ridership of the MRT project. And you can see that we also have the metro MRT project in Phuket and Chiang Mai, and we don't know anything about like what the ridership will be in Phuket and Chiang Mai, right? Even the first one in Bangkok, the BTS have only like 1/3 of the ridership that they expect. So the next one will be like how we're gonna reduce the commercial risks of the project by taking some risks for the private sector, but right now we're working on that. I mean, like with EEC project as well. Like we work closely with the EEC office because EEC have like this kind of problem as well because like all the new project will come. Yeah, but and we definitely come up with the menu that which kind of project or with what kind of breaks that we will take and how we gonna help to take the risks, like probably minimum revenue guarantee or sort of, but we're working on that.
But generally, it's a direction where the government try to limit the risk that they take in the projects.
It kind of, you need to balance because like when other like international agency come to see the government agency and they ask like what kind of contingent liability that you have, we need to like answer it like clearly that we don't have, or if we have, we need to quantify it very well, and we should know like what exactly it is. So if we're gonna take all the risks of the, let's say the ridership risks as we do in the like the purple line, like the first one, that's kind of shaky our sustainability, like discipline on the financial, on the fiscal discipline. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's another way that you can basically bring the private sector in and help develop the investment which are badly needed here in Thailand, right? Let's move on to another topic, which is the SOE reforms. I think the hope is high in terms of reforms here in Thailand, and we have heard a lot about the reforms in the state-owned enterprise. What can you tell us about what's being done? What can we expect to change in the near future, and how is that going to improve the situation of the SOE here in Thailand?
Let's keep it as like from this government period,
which is
like from 2000 from 2014, right?
Oh, okay.
From
so we're talking about the past.
The past will go back to just 2014. Okay. What the government actually gives a lot of attention to the SOE reform. It set up the State Enterprise Policy Commission, which everybody call it super board, and it's chaired by the Prime Minister itself. And they actually have a meeting like very actively every 2 months, I think. What they have done so far is, since we have the national plan, right, 20-year national plan, and we have the NESDB plan, National Development Plan, the new one, the 12 one.
5-year and the 20 years.
5-year and 20 years. And the government said that the SOE, before, like, since the SOE, since we have SOE, we never have the like SOE strategic plan itself. How we can make sure that the SOE, which is the tool of the government to deliver the public service to Thai citizens, can be sure that it's aligned with all the national plan. So the super board have the 5-year SOE strategic plan, which right now it's already implemented, and give it to all SOE to revise their plan and then make sure that the plan align with the like national development plan, like all national development plan. And that's the first one. And the second one is the super board require that all SOE need to have the skill metrics, skill set of the board of directors. Let's say you have like 15 board of directors in the SOE. The SOE and the Line Ministry and Ministry of Finance need to discuss what it approved by the super board last month. What kind of skill set that or the competency that each board of director of the SOE must have. So we try to make sure that not only anyone can send nobody into the SOE board, and to make sure that the SOE board can contribute something to the SOE operation and make sure that SOE operation align with the strategic plan. That's the other one that the super board does. What else? The turnaround. They have seven SOE that going to the turnaround in during the last 3 years. The first one is Thai Airways, and Thai Airways working well working better right now. Working better right now.
The restructuring and
it's restructuring and then try to keep the cost down, and what they implement the new one is the revenue management system. That's details you talk to the Thai DD. And the second one is the BMTA. BMTA has a lot of problem, and what they try to do is only finding a new car.
The new buses.
The new bus, yeah. And it failed a couple of times. What we success, actually the SOE turnaround need a lot of support from everyone, and not only that, everyone is also the SOE employee as well. So what we get from the BMTA is we change we shift the role of regulation to the Department of Land Transportation. So the bus, the yellow bus, which is actually private sector bus, before that they need to ask the license from the BMTA. So BMTA control the private sector bus. But right now it shifts it to the regulator.
To separate the role of the player and the regulator.
So the BMTA will be only operator right now. So that's what we do. And SRT.
That's lots of restructuring needed.
We need a lot of effort. And
that's the state railways.
Yeah, State Railway of Thailand. And what we try to do for the State Railway of Thailand is, they have a lot of debt and operating loss, but we try to make sure. On the other hand, they play a crucial role of the investment of the double track. We try to shift the mode from car, right, or the truck to use the rail transportation, and that's what we require for the SRT more than their financial operation right now. And the SME Bank does very well right now and doing good thing in the turnaround. For the Islamic Bank, right now we have the Islamic Asset Management company set up and taking care of the NPL of Islamic Bank, and we think the Islamic Bank should financial position should be better, good enough to find a strategic partner, a good strategic partner to make sure that their future operation is okay. So, and the last one should be for the super board. SOE reform is the new act. Everybody say that it's the Holding Company Act, but actually it's a State Enterprise Development and Governance Act. Holding company is just only a small part of the act, and the act make sure that we will have the super board permanently. We will have a strategic plan permanently, and make sure that SOE will have a good governance and evaluation system and cabinet already approved. Right now, it's in the National Legal Assembly.
The Legislation Assembly?
Yeah.
I see. And it's expected to come out pretty soon, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. I guess we covered lots of ground today, and thank you very much for being with us today. Please give a big round of applause for Kun Polchak. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Kun Polchak and Dr. Pipat. It's about Thailand Future Fund.